Hey y'all, I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Maritime in America, and this is our weekly series Offshore Briefing. For our AMSA members, this is a audio version, a truncated audio version of Friday Fast Facts. And with me, as always, I have my co-hosts, Angel Johnson and Ashley Smith. Welcome. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Doing well.
Good. So I'm just going to jump into some stories that I've seen this week. And I have two that I've seen, and I saw some that I found interesting. And one was that yesterday it was released that the United States Transportation Command, or TRANSCOM, has issued a report that was called for by Congress last year. A report came out this year, and it was by the DoD, MARAD, and the Army Corps of Engineers, and it studied if there were threats, if there were dredging-based threats to strategic seaports that would not enable our military vessels to leave in times of a conflict. In that report indicated, as was released this week, that the Jones Act is not a threat, does not cause a lack of dredge availability, which then does not cause a lack of dredge response that could impede our ability to go to war, for our military vessels to go to war. And that's really important because you see a lot of the European dredge companies are constantly saying that there are not U.S. dredges available and that U.S. dredges cannot be relied upon to dredge waters. And that's, of course, untrue. And it's great to see the industry stating, or not the industry, it's great to see the government, specifically the national security apparatus, saying that to show that that's not the case, that they are just looking for market share and they're trying to come into U.S. waters and gain U.S. contracts and U.S. taxpayer dollars without employing any Americans or having an American influence. And their findings are untrue. It's, what the report says is that there's a limited disposal area for dredge material, that the permitting process for dredging is way too complex, and that the way we pay for dredging with federal side taking some and then the state taking others is just, it's way too complex. In the article that I saw about the report, the article quoted our good friend, it said William Doyle. I'm going to go by Billy Doyle, CEO of Dredging Contractors of America. If there's anything that Bill hates more than the letter R, it's foreign dredges. He'd say that because he's from Boston and he has an inability to pronounce the letter R. But he says, clearly we need help from industry, federal, and state level stakeholders. All seaports, particularly those on the East Coast, are being strangled by outdated and overly burdensome regulations that restrict the number of days dredging operations can take place. In some places in the mid-Atlantic regions, we're limited to just 4 months of the year. And then continues that the Jones Act is not the problem here. So would applaud that report and completely agree with the findings of it, that, it is not a Jones Act problem. It is a government permitting problem, essentially. So I think, and that's what we always see when the facts are actually looked at. The U.S. maritime industry can build anything and everything necessary, but we have to have certainty from permitting or from laws, and you have to have assurances that your investments are going to be honored and not undercut by some foreign company that's going to come in with a bunch of people from Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe that make pennies on the dollar compared to U.S. mariners. So I applaud that article and applaud the government for releasing it.
So basically applauding for doing the right thing and common sense.
Yeah, well,
it just always goes back to that. Whenever we are saying how wonderful something is, we're so glad about a decision, it's always for doing what they should be doing all along and what makes sense.
Fair point. But, it's the old saying, good enough for government work.
I must be too young for that one.
Yes, that's it. The other story that I saw was actually an op-ed that is in Workboat this week, and by a longtime Workboat contributor, Joel Milton. And I've been reading Joel's stuff for, I don't know, since I got into this industry. but he has a great piece called "You Can't YouTube Your Way to Seamanship." And it's about a story that he came from where a deckhand came on to a vessel. And one of the ABs on the vessel was trying to teach him some basic seamanship skills, how to tie a knot, how to throw a line, kind of the 101 stuff. And apparently the kid wasn't interested in learning because they had decided the maritime industry has a pipeline for promotion, and I'm just gonna, gain my time on deck till I can get my mate's license and then get my captain's license, and that's what I want to do. And so I'm just going to do that, and I'm just going to, watch some videos, take some courses, and just ride around and look at my phone on my sea time, and I'll work my way up the pipeline. And work my way up as we have talked about. And the episode with the Fontenot's and Captain Rick, we both talked about the hawse pipe. And Ashley, I think you can tell our listeners what the hawse pipe is, right? Or where the name hawse pipe comes from.
I would love to delegate that to my lovely coworker Angel.
Angel, what's a hawse pipe? Where the name comes from? Go ahead, Ashley or Angel. That is what it means is by working skills and showing competency, you are promoted. Where the term comes from is the hawse pipe is the place where the anchor chain goes through the hull of the vessel. And the term comes where stowaways would crawl up the anchor chain through the hawse pipe, stowaway on board, then be found later and would then say, "Hey, I'm on board now. You got to give me a job," and would get a job and would start menial tasks and then work their way up. So you're getting on the vessel and then working your way up is where the term comes from. But yes.
I was really about to say that's when you physically have to push your body through something.
So, but I thought it was good because we've talked about that the maritime industry has this great way of you can be promoted and you don't have to have some college degree or some just go through a massive amount of schooling on the front end. There are opportunities to work your way up, but it's not what I love about the article is it's not a given. You have to work your way up. And if you're just going to kind of see if you can ride around for a little while and then get to the next rung up the chain, you're not going to make it. Because like Cooper talked about and like John talked about, these are families on board. And if you see someone that's not pulling their weight, who's going to be harder on you than your family? So I really like that because I thought it was important to show just how the industry protects itself while providing great opportunities. The industry also protects itself and kind of weeds those people out. So my hat's off to Joel on the article. I really thought it was a good one there. What did y'all see this week, or what are y'all working on?
alert to everything that's going on when you're on the job.
And you can't park your boat on someone's lawn.
Yeah.
So I did actually see this, and I think as we talked about last week, our daughter Maisie Caroline Smith, because she's gotten mad at me for mentioning her in 2 episodes, but not mentioning her name. So Maisie Caroline Smith, one of her favorite phrases is if she sees an accident, is to pass by and say, "Hey, you can't park there." And I saw that article about that boat, and I went to the comments just to say, "Hey, you can't park there," but someone had already beat me to it.
Of
So
course.
but yes, I did see that. And I've actually been to where that happened. It was in Trondheim, Norway.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a beautiful city, but it is I yeah, it's I guess on a fjord. And it's a little bit narrow. And so I could certainly see how if you're not following your markers and you don't make the turn, yeah, you're gonna hit some guy's yard. And yeah, you're right, exactly, Angel. That is a great lesson is that you have an industry that has been filled where every safety factor has been filled, and you have decision planning tools like in DP. You have your ASOG, activity specific operating guidelines. You have all of that. But if you fall asleep, or if like was in this week's episode, will be NTSB releasing a report on a tug crash on a river where mate left the helm, and something happened. So, you can get all of this risk away, but there's still personal responsibility that you can't tech away, like you said, Angel, and you can't plan away. Ashley, how about you? What are you working on?
I am working on a few things. So first is we have the rescheduled sub golf tournament next Friday, June 6th at Lakewood. I'll be reminding some members about it. Super excited about it. It's going to be a beautiful day. I'm just putting it out there in the universe. We'd love to have more people come. It's just always such a fun event. And this is from the May 9th golf tournament that we had to cancel because of the terrible storms. And I'm also working on, we usually do these summer lunch and learn series where we pick a topic, have someone come speak on it, get the members together. Summer's so crazy for everyone. And it's just a great way to keep our members together and networking. So we're looking to do that in mid-June. And we've had a few members reach out to us, right, Aaron, about cable lay and some other issues. So
Yeah, I talked to one of our good member companies that does some maritime analytics and market analysis, and they talked about coming and doing a report about the cable lay industry, and I really applaud them for that. That's, I think, top of mind for everyone right now.
yeah.
I mean, it's been in Friday Fast Facts about the cable cutting capabilities that China is investing in, and really leads to the only logical conclusion is the U.S. needs its own cable fleet and cable repair fleet. And so glad to see our members are beating us to the punch there, and are investing in those, and getting the word out.
Yeah, so I'll be working on a topic. If anyone listening has any ideas, suggestions, hot topics, good speakers, go ahead and reach out to Ashley Smith and let me know because I love hearing about all that and can put it in for future events if it's not for this one coming up. And also, I'm working on the fact that as of this morning, we have a high school. Our oldest graduated eighth grade today, and it was very emotional and depressing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we officially have a high schooler.
Yeah,
Heartbreaking. I'm too young.
we haven't gotten our grades yet, so let's
Oh yeah, she hasn't officially passed eighth grade,
yeah,
which I'm not
let's
gonna lie.
the word official might be a little
Well, they're officially not taking her back in eighth grade. They already gave her the certificate and everything else.
social promotion.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I've got going on. I survived this week and last week.
Well, good. Well, we look forward to hearing from everyone. I know it won't come out for a little bit, but I know next week we're recording our next longer episode, and we got a great guest. I'm not going to say who it is, but I have always been totally impressed by this woman, and I'm so glad that
Well, you
we're going to
gave it
have.
a.
I'm not saying, I'm just giving that. I'm not going to say anything more, but
I
I'm
love her
totally.
too. Now that we're saying we're giving the the sex away. I love her too. She is so smart and interesting and thoughtful, and she's just a badass. I like her a
People are
lot.
narrowing it down now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited and can't wait. And then we also we have our next big guest after that booked as well, and I'm so excited about that one too. We got a great mariner after that. That's going to be really awesome as well. One of those again, like the fawn nose, just someone that really reinvigorates your love of this industry. So I'm excited about what we got coming up. Well, if y'all don't have anything else, that is this week's briefing of Offshore America, or the Offshore Briefing in Maritime in America. I'm switching up the names there. My apologies.
That's the
If you like
Instagram
this,
name.
if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, download, and share these articles with your friends and on your socials. And if there's people you think that would make good guests, please reach out. We'd always love to hear that. And if you want more content like this and you want to read the Friday Fast Facts that we always talk about, where these stories come from, please make sure you're signed up on the AMSA list. And if you're not an AMSA member, join up. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and I hope everyone has a good week. Ashley, Angel, any parting words?
YOLO.
Happy Friday.
Yes. Happy Friday too.
Well, good. Well, thank you both. Thank you to all of our listeners and subscribers, and hope everyone has a good weekend and be safe.
That wraps up another episode of Maritime in America. We're proud to highlight the voices and stories that keep the American offshore industry strong. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and remember, the course ahead is shaped by those who step up and steer it. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Tune in every Friday for your offshore briefing, and don't miss our next full episode, dropping soon with the very special guest's mariner's perspective. Catch you next time.